The gaming industry is in a weird spot right now. As of this recording, 7,000 people plus have lost their jobs despite enormous profits from AAA studios, indies, you name it. For some, this is business as usual. For others, this is indicative of a very changing and rapidly changing industry. If you're like me, who grew up with the N64, Xbox 360, AAA titles have gone from couch co-op to software as a service, free-to-play multiplayer, cosmetics cost $20, kind of an experience instead of a complete experience at launch. Now, it's true that titles like that are incredibly successful. Think of Apex Legends, Fortnite, virtually any Call of Duty. They're drawing in millions of players every month. To me, though, it is interesting that things that are up for Game of the Year are primarily single-player titles now that don't really have a multiplayer component. And the Game of the Year discussion is a whole other conversation on whether that's truly relevant or not. If you are interested in something like that, Alana Pierce actually talked about this in the last week. I enjoyed this video a lot on how that kind of discourse isn't exactly super helpful, but it is indicative of what game developers themselves feel. I'll link that video in the description below. And even with the critical acclaim and the lauding of their peers, game developers' job security is never guaranteed. 7,000 people are out of work. My purpose with this video, I wanted to highlight some great games that have released in the last 5 years. I do believe that it's important to highlight what's going on in the industry at the moment. Game executives and publishers must support their developers. And if they refuse, I think unionization is something that will need to be considered eventually. Okay, now that that rant is over, I do want to say that the games themselves right now are excellent. There are more ways to play than ever. Nintendo and Sony are still releasing banger exclusives after over 40 years, in Nintendo's case. And Xbox is getting some pretty good wins here. Like Game Pass is a pretty solid deal. Starfield was good. I think most people can agree that it was good. But with that in mind, I wanted to celebrate my favorite games over the last couple of years, from 2018 to the end of 2023. I'm Tom, aka Fire Sandwich, and I want to welcome you to my channel. If you don't feel anything after watching that title screen, you're cooked, dude. Outer Wilds was such a welcome surprise that came on a recommendation from my childhood best friend. Shout out Nathaniel. Let me tell you, this game is unlike anything I have ever played, before or since. You play as a lone astronaut tasked with solving the mystery of your local solar system, venturing into the outer wilds with nothing but your rickety spaceship, your suit, jetpack, and very limited oxygen. With a soundtrack that sparks the imagination, gameplay, and locations that inspire you and give you plenty of spooks, developer Mobius Digital provides a space exploration game with plenty of twists and turns that truly turn you into a scientist, an explorer of interstellar proportions, and an ending that you will never forget. This is a game that I will be thinking about for the rest of my life, and I can't wait to see what this studio does next. I know what you're thinking. Tom, you were just complaining about free-to-play multiplayer shooters, software as a service. What the hell is this game doing here? I get that, but I'll just say this right after that. Splitgate is a whole hell of a lot of fun. What started as a COD Senior project that mashed Portal and later Bungie Halo titles together became an arena shooter sensation in the summer of 2021. It peaked with over 160,000 concurrent players on Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam combined. I didn't pick up the game, though, until a year later in May 2022. At that point, I finally realized Halo Infinite wasn't going to shape up to the game I hoped it would be at launch, and I wanted to play something new, something separated from my disappointment in established IPs. It wasn't until then that I realized Splitgate is far more unique than the Portal Halo mashup criticism. Sure, the art style is schizophrenic, the characters all look like Batman villains, and it might still feel like a student project at times. But when Splitgate's gunplay and Portal-infused movement hit, it's unlike anything you'll ever play. I absolutely adore this game, and recognize 1047 Studios' potential. Whatever Splitgate shooter title they've got planned next, I will be one of the first players in line. I have an interesting relationship with Doom. I wasn't allowed to play anything remotely like it growing up, and had a passing interest when the reboot rolled around in 2016, but I never actually picked it up. It wasn't until I saw Doom Eternal was on sale a few years after it released that I decided to give it a shot. And boy was I happy as ever to do it. Since, I've backtracked a lot of Doom, Quake, and Boomer shooters, including Dusk and other New Blood interactive titles. But something keeps me coming back to Doom Eternal. And no, it isn't just the amazing collectible Funko Pop looking ass figurines. Seriously though, these things are so fucking cool. Eternal's combat loop is easily the most satisfying first-person shooter to me since Halo 3. The fun never stops. Enemies are satisfying to fight, every encounter is a puzzle that only a certain weapon will solve, and I have to quick swap guns to ensure I'm getting the job done quick enough. The entire production, level design, guns, art, and Mick Gordon's electrifying soundtrack make this game one of my essentials. It's so much fun, and I get to kill some demons like a destroying angel. Good Christian values. What more do you need? I originally wrote a long-winded script about why I love The Last of Us Part 2. It ended up being about a 10-minute segment, and I realized that that would rob too much attention of other games. So I will say that I love The Last of Us Part 2. I love how complicated it is. I love what it does with its narrative and how themes are tied together. I think it plays well, and we'll see if I eventually expand on that, but in the meantime, here it is. This one took me by surprise. This last August, I saw that this game was on sale, and with a new expansion, I thought, you know what? This is published by the same guys as Dusk and Ultrakill. I think this is probably worth a shot. I wasn't convinced at first, but then about 5 minutes passed? Yeah, it was about 5 minutes, and I realized that a medieval is tailor-made to someone like me. It's like cosmic quake is probably the best way I could explain that. Its weapon arsenal is like Hexen and Doom, these shooters of the 90s. Its art and level design are eclectic, avant-garde, surrealist. So like drawing for popular artists like Dali and MC Escher. Okay, look, I know Escher isn't technically surrealist, but we're talking about level design, not art movements. Sue me. Developed by Indefatigable, this is an independent studio out of Wellington, New Zealand, a medieval is a perfect mix of abstract, inventive worlds, gorgeous art, mesmeric sound design, and music by the wonderful Andrew Hulshult. And it is easily the most satisfying and badass weapon arsenal I've seen in years. Like we're going back all the way to Halo 3. Easily a medieval. I love all of these weapons, the Black Labyrinth expansion included. If there's any game I want you to check out on this list, it is a medieval. You need to be playing a medieval. I've been playing The Legend of Zelda since I could talk. I'm here to tell you that Tears of the Kingdom might just be the best in the franchise. Now I get it, you're pissed. This game is just DLC, some might scream. That criticism is washed and disproven even if you've only played the game for an hour. Now, a more healthy skeptic might think to themselves, how could this possibly be better than Ocarina of Time? Or, Breath of the Wild did this formula first, so it has to be. It owes so much to Breath of the Wild. I get that, but I'm not even going to tell you that you're wrong. You're allowed to have those opinions. If you love Wind Waker, that's fantastic. I'm happy for you. I just think that Tears of the Kingdom took every weakness from Breath of the Wild and improved on it. But they didn't stop there. They doubled the size of the map, built the most complex physics systems video games have probably ever seen, and on top of that, built one of the most emotional and thematic stories the series has ever had. I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but it's been out for a few months. You know what? If you finish the story, you know what I'm talking about. I'm still working through this game. Just like Breath of the Wild, I've got a couple of 100 hours into it, but I haven't seen or done everything. I haven't even mapped out all of the depths yet. I'm working on that. And I'm amazed that they didn't even promote the depths at all in the marketing. If they had, I think sales would have even ballooned more. It really is incredible to me that Nintendo just makes their games differently. They retain their staff. They allow that staff to iterate, and then they continue to release generation-defining games. Now, do I sound like a Nintendo fanboy? Sure, I totally get that. But I didn't always feel that way about this game. I am so happy that I was dead fucking wrong. Thanks for watching my video. If you enjoyed what you watched, go ahead and like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. I know there are a lot of games here that I didn't talk about or didn't mention. A lot of games that came out this year, for instance. So in the comments below, tell me about what your favorite games were the last couple of years. On my list for the next playthroughs, Baldur's Gate 3 is definitely on my list. Right now, I'm also playing through Dune 2016, Severed Steel, and Viewfinder. In the meantime, I want to hear from you in the comments below. Tell me what you're playing, tell me what you've loved. Until next time, I'm Tom, aka Fire Sandwich.